Hello everyone, and welcome to my classic priest guide. In this guide I'm going to talk about the talent trees that I use when I'm leveling, but also at max level, the rotations, and the spells you get as the different races as a priest, and the spells that I skip to save gold from my mount, and last but not least, the pre-raid biz gear. First I will cover the talent tree that I use when I'm leveling, and this is how it will look like when I reach level 60. If you're wondering at what level I pick each talent, you can see it right here. When you reach level 60, and if you plan to continue playing as a Shadow Priest in PvE, then I would recommend you to go with a talent tree like this. If you prefer to heal, there's two decent talent trees that I will show you right now. The first one here is mainly focused on the discipline tree, and at the bottom you'll get the power infusion buff. Else you could use this holy talent tree, and with a talent tree like this, you'll get a bit more mana regen, but also healing. Next up is a few rotations that I like to do. I always use a shield before I pull the target. Then I use a mind blast to pull the target, followed by Shadow Word Pain, and then I use my wand to finish off the target. If the target is a bit more difficult to kill, you could use a rotation like this. So whenever your mind blast is ready, you cast this, and then you just use wand when you're waiting for the mind blast, and in case your Shadow Word Pain expires, you just apply a new one. At max level, your rotation will be a bit different as a Shadow Priest. You use Vampiric Touch when you pull the target, then you use a Shadow Word Pain, followed by Inner Focus into a Mind Blast, then you use Mind Flay 2 times, a Mind Blast, another 2 Mind Flays, a Mind Blast, and then you reapply your Shadow Word Pain. But if you're raiding, you might not be allowed to use Vampiric Touch on the boss because this will take a debuff slot. As a healer, there isn't a rotation that you always have to follow. It all depends on how you're assigned in a raid group to heal, or if it's going to be a lot of single target damage or AoE target damage to the dungeon group. Greater Heal and Flash Heal requires you to use a lot of mana to cast these spells, but they also do a high amount of healing. If you plan to be more efficient with your mana, then I would recommend you to use heal instead. Renew is also a great way to always have some healing on a target that takes damage, for example the tank. For AoE healing, you always have to use Prayer of Healing, and in case someone is about to take a lot of damage and you want to prevent them from taking damage for some time instantly, you can use a Power Word Shield. As a priest you can choose between 5 different races, and each race get 2 different abilities compared to the other races, one at level 10 and one at level 20. As a dwarf, you for example get Desperate Prayer and Fear Ward. Fear Ward will make you immune to the next fear casted on the target with the buff. So in this case the dwarf has the Fear Ward, the undead try to fear the target, but it's immune. And Desperate Prayer is an instant heal that will restore a lot of your health. As a human, you will get Desperate Prayer too, but also the skill called Feedback. When you activate Feedback and someone casts at you, you will burn a bit of their mana, but also do a bit of shadow damage. Last but not least, then we have the Night Elf on the Alliance side. Night Elves will get Star Shards and Elun's Grace. Star Shards is amazing at low level, but when you plan to play as a Shadow Priest, you will not really benefit from this spell, because Star Shards do arcane damage, and as a Shadow Priest you'll focus on a lot of gear that only provide you with shadow damage. Elun's Grace reduce range damage taken and increase your dodge chance for 15 seconds. As a Troll Priest you get Hex of Weakness and Shadow Guard. Hex of Weakness is a debuff you can cast on a target to reduce their damage caused and also healing effectiveness by 20%. Shadow Guard is a buff that you can cast on yourself, and whenever someone hit you with a melee, range or spell attack, they will be struck for some shadow damage. As an undead, you will get these 2 spells. Touch of Weakness is a buff you can cast on yourself, and when someone hit you, they will take a bit of shadow damage and also get a debuff. This debuff will reduce the damage caused. Devouring Plague is a spell you can cast on a target to do a high amount of shadow damage over time. This skill works just like Shadow Word Pain, and you can combine both of these at the same time as an undead priest. As you're leveling as a priest, there's also some skills I would recommend you not to learn when you're leveling. Mind Vision is not really needed, and Resurrection rank 2 you don't need, you just need rank 1 so you can res. Mana Burn is mainly for PvP, and Shadow Word Protection is mainly for level 60 when the monsters in the dungeon start to do shadow damage. If you don't buy all your skills when you're leveling, you will also save a lot of gold, and this you can spend on your level 40 mount. The pre-raid base gear for a healing priest will look like this. Most of the gear is collected inside dungeons, some of it is also crafted and even bind on a crib that you can buy on the auction house. I would recommend you to also level up your tailoring so you can craft the epic chest that I equip on my priest. Some of these items is also collected when you do different high level dungeon quests. And these items you will most likely also share with different casters, because some of the items that you need is also pre-raid biz gear for example Warlock and Mages. Next up is the pre-raid biz gear as a Shadow Priest. I recommend you to level up your engineering to 245 because you need that skill level to equip your best in slot headpiece. Just like the healer pre-raid biz gear, then most of your gear is collected inside different dungeons or by doing different dungeon quests. At the same time, it might also be difficult to get some of your items because they need to have the right stat, and the stat that you're looking for is plus shadow damage. Some of these items can for example have plus healing, they can have plus fire, nature or frost damage, and a lot of other different stats. So it could potentially take you more than 100 runs to get the right item. Alright, so that's about it for me today. If you would like to see other class guides or how I make my gold when I'm leveling from 1 to 60, make sure to check out the channel. For more classic content, stay tuned. And as always, thank you for watching and have an amazing day. Peace.